Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us, or good morning, depending on what part of the country you're in. My name is Haley McLeod, and I'm a technical professional here at Oak Ridge National Lab, and thank you for joining us for the soft launch of the Building Envelope campaign. First things first, just wanted to note that this is being recorded so that we can turn around and post this on the ETRT and the Envelope campaign website so that people who weren't able to join us today can still get all of the great information that's going to be presented in this webinar. Another thing is, please note that you are being muted. If you, we do have about 10 to 15 minutes set aside at the end for questions. So if you have any questions, feel free to submit them during the webinar, and we will try to get to them at the end. So let's get to know you guys a little bit. We are going to put up a poll and just try to get a feel for what industries are represented on the call today. So a poll should be showing on your screen. Perfect. And we're just going to give you about 30 seconds to answer that. Okay, so our results are up. It looks like most of you are in the architecture, engineering, and general contractor field. We do have some building owners and managers on the call today, which is great. Some manufacturers and some researchers. So thank you, everyone, for calling in. For those of you who aren't as familiar with the Better Buildings program, I'm going to just give you a little bit of background. The Alliance currently includes more than 230 organizations, which represent over 11 billion commercial square feet across 5 key market sectors. So that's commercial real estate, healthcare, higher ed, hospitality, and retail, food service, and grocery. There have been several previous Better Buildings Alliance technology campaigns, which have been led by other national labs. And what these campaigns are all really aiming to do is to accelerate the adoption of efficient building technologies by providing technical assistance, resources, and guidance on these best practices directly from the national lab system to the industry. There are 7 tech teams within the Better Buildings Alliance. We are the Building Envelope tech team, and we are the newest tech team, so we're happy to be a part of it. And then here's just an introduction of us. Melissa Lopsa is our group lead. We have Dr. Palin, who will be speaking here momentarily, as our technical lead. We have Drs. Bandari and DeGraw also on this team, and then myself and Kia Cranfill as other technical professional support. So here are the previous Better Buildings Alliance campaigns that I mentioned. We are hoping to follow in these footsteps and do a great job just like they did. The main difference between these campaigns and our campaign is that these were all focused on very specific systems or technologies, whereas our campaign does focus on the entire building envelope, so a bit of a broader scope in our campaign. So this is our soft launch today in mid-February, but our formal launch will be in June at the Better Buildings Summit. We have a little bit more information about that at the end of this presentation. To quantify success in this campaign, we are using a building envelope performance metric, which we have been developing here and which Dr. Palin is going to talk more about shortly. And currently we are developing the campaign website. It is live and up and running, but we're adding more great resources to it all the time. We're currently seeking input from beta testers. So if at any point during the presentation today, you think to yourself, oh man, I have a building I would love to get in and test in this tool, please let us know. We are actively seeking those beta testers. And right now we're validating the tool, but primarily the tiers. We have set what we feel are realistic goals for this campaign, but we want to make sure that we haven't set unattainable goals. So if it turns out particularly our higher tiers are a little too high, there's a chance that gets adjusted between now and June. And we are recruiting campaign participants so that we can really hit the ground running with this in June. Just to specifically lay out our campaign goals, we are trying to motivate action and increase awareness of the value of these high performance building envelope technologies. We want to recognize leaders in the industry for adopting and achieving these high performing building envelope systems. And then we want to demonstrate and document the energy and cost savings available by using these high-performing envelope systems. We have been working with a great tag to develop this tool up until this date. They've been helping us with the metric and also providing us resources for the website. Real quickly, like I said, these are potential recognition tiers and categories. These may be adjusted if we feel that we've set unrealistic goals, but we will have one set of recognitions available to existing buildings that are retrofitting their building envelope. So this would be a Retro 30 and Retro 50, which would be the building envelope heat loss gain reduction of either 30 or 50%, due specifically to the building envelope improvements. We are also going to have a new construction tier. So this will be novel 20 and 40, and this will represent that same building envelope heat loss gain reduction of either 20 or 40%, but that will be a comparison between the newly constructed building and code. So what improvements were made over the code requirements for that building. And then our last recognition categories will be role models and honorable mentions. So role models will be for buildings that have already hit a previously defined recognition tier, but have really gone above and beyond and have incorporated an additional advanced strategy or technology. And we want to acknowledge those buildings as really being role models in the industry. And then honorable mentions for buildings which do not necessarily meet a campaign recognition tier, but still make a noteworthy impact on the campaign. So if you have a 5 million square foot building that only hits 29%, we might consider giving you an honorable mention because we do appreciate all the participation in this campaign. And then I just wanted to touch on our anticipated schedule. So we are in that little blue box and headed into green. So wrapping up our development and identifying our early supporters, and then I'm really gearing up for this launch in June. So at this point, I'm going to hand it over to Dr. Simon Palin, who's going to walk you through the metric and our lovely website.
Thank you, Haley, for setting the stage, and thank you everyone for joining this webinar today. So this campaign, as you all have realized now, is about the building envelope, and we had a project that started about 2 years ago where we wanted to look into a sort of the potential of defining a new metric that represents the envelope performance. This project sort of fell well in together with this campaign, and we're trying to utilize this metric as an indicator for the performance of the envelope. And I'm going to walk you through what this metric is about and how it is defined. There will be some slides that are a little bit more technical than others, but I'll try to keep it brief and give you an overview of what's going on. If we look at other industries, there are metrics, and we can see them as in that way role models, because we want, that may be something that we want. So just put an example here. The car industry, well, you may have a few vehicles that you want to look at if you're potential new car owner, and you want to make a decision on which car to pick. Obviously, there are a lot of variables that will impact the performance of the car, but one thing, if you have you've found a model or several models that you like, you may look into the miles per gallon, which is a really nice indicator. So it helps you understand what the performance will be of your vehicle if you decide to go with one or the other. So the miles per gallon is very convenient for cars. If you look at buildings and what we deal with, we have also tons of variables that will impact the performance, but we don't necessarily have a performance indicator to go with, right? But we do have EUI as one, and it gives us an indication. But the thing with EUI is that I mean, unless we talk about predicted EUI here, we talk about only applicable to existing buildings, right? And I say here one-way connection, and what I mean with that is that it's really a black box. You don't necessarily know what's inside it. You just know what's sort of coming out of it. So if, for example, if you're looking at retrofitting a building or doing anything, or want to understand where you potentially can see energy savings, if you can't specify each variable here, or at least put them together in a way that will mimic the performance, you really don't know what your payback will be if you decide to take measures, right? And the EUI is highly influenced by building usage. So whatever takes place inside the building is very, very influenced by EUI. So that's a sort of a downside of this, and obviously the system, your conditioning system, heating, cooling, and all that, and the characteristic of the system is part of the EUI too. And then we have the predicted, right? It's but the downside could be that you make a lot of assumptions on things, and it could be complicated and it could be time consuming as well. So and both regardless if you look at the predicted or actually EUI, we can't really look at just the envelope performance. We can't really understand what the thermal performance of the envelope it will be. So in that way, EUI is not equivalent to miles per gallon, because miles per gallon has decided on a sort of driving pattern. So, but the EUI is highly influenced by the driver, if one would try to make a comparison there. Well, enough talking about the miles per gallon. So you can look at it this way, that now here comes the equations. Don't be afraid if you don't like equations. This is pretty simple here. On one side, we see the energy usage, which is the energy demand and the efficiency of the system here will be equal to, this is roughly just in general, whatever heat or whatever heat transfer goes on between the indoor and outdoor environment, plus whatever heat internal generation you see inside the building. So that's a generalized expression, but it's pretty valid. And what we want to lift out is and emphasize in this campaign is what we see here in green as the building envelope energy performance, right? And the demand it will have on the HVAC system. And we use that by now defining a new metric, which we refer to as building envelope performance metric, the BEP. And what the BEP is actually used as sort of effective cooling and heating degree hours, not just traditional cooling and heating degree hours, but the effective one. And I don't have to go into detail really what it does, but I can give you an example. Let's imagine you have a building and it's somewhere, a lot of windows, and it may be 65 degrees outside, but because of solar loads, you still have to cool this building, right? Ignore the internal loads for now. And so what this effective cooling and heating degree hours looking at when you actually need to cool and heat, not just what traditional heating and cooling degree hours is, just comparing indoor and outdoor temperatures and see when it's either above or below. And then you divide that over, we defined this here as the overall building thermal resistance. And this is the meat of the equation. This is the really important part of the definition here. Excuse me. So the R is not an R value, but it's an overall thermal resistance, and we could give it any Latin alphabetic name, but it's the overall thermal resistance. And what the thing is here, it allows us to use annual averages. the way we defined it here and the way we're going to use it in the campaign. But remember now, the BP represents the thermal performance of, so the sort of the energy demand per envelope area. So that's the unit of this metric. The energy demand, if we hold on the HVAC system per envelope area. And it all comes down to this overall thermal resistance, which this is the most complicated slide here with the equations. So it's not going to get any worse than this. So here you see up at the left corner that we have three variable sort of terms that has an R. And one is one you are used to, which is called the R envelope, which is when we talk about R values of the R13, R19, this is related to that. That has to do with conductive thermal heat transfer. And that's related to that part of the building. But we also have one which it's called R air, and that's how we define the air leakage you see in your building as a thermal resistance. And we have a way of doing that. And then you have one that is called R gain, which represents the gains you see through, for example, windows. So the solar loads that solar radiation goes through the window, the part that is not reflected, and that acts more like an internal heat source immediately. So that's the three main terms of this overall thermal resistance. This is just showing you quickly when we validate it. We are still validating this metric and the applicability, but this is just sort of trying to give you a sense of what it represents. This is a very simple building that was created with, I think, window to wall ratio of 30%. I think we have 30% windows here. And we put this in different climates and looked at what the variation would be. This is, I'm not going to go into detail here more than saying that we compared it with other more sophisticated simulation tools, and that we see a very good agreement with these tools. And again, why do we want to propose a more simplified method? Well, if we can, it would be convenient in many ways. It will help us to quickly assess the performance of the building, and it would be, like I will also present to you here, when we implement this into a tool that we can use to assess the performance, it's something that can go pretty quickly to use, and you can get an appreciation of the performance very quickly. There are many benefits from having a simplified approach. Now, this is how the metric is defined, and right now I totally understand that you have no appreciation of what a BEP metric of 20 means. And to be honest, neither do we, because we just started working with this, and with time here, we're going to understand what a good BEP metric, a BEP value is. However, the way we look at it, and you will see that quick in a bit here, is that we compare if we're looking at an existing building, you compare your existing performance with your new performance, or your expected performance. So it will always be the difference. And likewise, if you have a new construction, we compare with code versus how your new building will look like. So it's always a difference. So let me take you to our website, which is our campaign website. And hopefully you will see the screen here. And it's, let's see if I can, yeah, that won't, maybe. Okay. So right now, everyone can visit this website. We're still doing a lot of changes and add things daily to this, and it's far from ready for the official launch we will have in June, but it has a lot of features already, and one of them is the tool. Now, you won't be able to access all the resources here unless you sign up or in one way want to participate in the campaign. And Haley will again talk to you later about how you do that. I'm going to try to stop scrolling here, make you dizzy. But if I click on access the campaign here, for now, this is how the tool will look like. The tool will be part of the campaign, but there will be a lot of other things around the campaign. But right now, I was just clicking on it to show that, okay, so this is what the tool will look like. Now, you first have to make a decision here on whether your building is a new construction or if it's a retrofit. It's going to by default say retrofit. And if you have then an existing building, so let's play around with it as soon as you have. I put it at built as 1988, and I need to pick climate here. So let's assume I'm currently in a 4A, but maybe I wish I was in 2A. So let's pick 2A, humid, hot, humid, and then I have to make a selection of how exposed it actually comes down to how exposed it is to the outdoor environment and especially wind. I'm just going to click on suburban here and then go down and click on what type of building I have. And then we have the 14, is it, let's see here, DOE prototype buildings to choose from. And they are all in here. We have talked about potentially adding a way of defining your own geometry, but for now we have these prototype buildings. And like I think Haley mentioned here, we would love to hear any feedback you have, and this is the kind of things that we would like to hear from you. For example, I can't find a building that would work for me. We need to do it in a different way. Okay, so let's assume that I pick a medium office here. Then the geometry will be preoccupied here based on what type of building I chose, but I can also make changes here. So if it doesn't match with what I have, then I just change the surface areas or the number of building floors or the building height or the conditioned floor area. I can even rotate the building so that it represents my building and the exposure I have, which is, the rotation is mainly important for the solar radiation, solar loads. Now, if I scroll down here, I have, when I made my selection, what was also started to occupy was the based on, so I said that this building was built in 1988. So then it pulls the code from that time, and you'll see that inside these boxes. Again, I can make the change. I can change these and say, no, that's not what I have. I have this, and put that information in here of my existing building. And so all these values can be changed, and I can choose whatever material I have for the surface. And the surface is important just because we need to know because of the solar reflection. It also asked me if I have performed a building envelope commissioning or conducted a blower door test. If I say no, I cannot do anything on the air tightness value. However, I can still say that I've taken some steps to improve the air tightness of my building. If I do that, what's going to happen now, let's just jump over to the other side, is that it's going to say I can only be given a 10% improvement for that, unless I can sort of prove that what I've done. But let's say I have performed a building envelope commissioning or conducted a blower door, so I actually know the air tightness of my building before. I can put that in here. Excuse me, and Now, this is the existing building. Now I need to move over to my planned retrofit or my recently retrofitted building, and I can change the values. So if we compare between the sides here, you know, maybe I did something with I replaced the cladding, or I did something to improve the R value of the walls, then I could do that here. Excuse me. Maybe I didn't do anything on the roof. However, I decided to go with a cool roof here. And I didn't do any, well, the air tightness, I've had to find as I have done the performance. So maybe I was able to get it down to 2 here instead of 3. And I want to see, okay, what improved performance is expected from this. I can click on check result. And in real time, it will tell me what the improved performance looked like. So here it says that based on what I defined, I improved the thermal performance with 20%. Excuse me. I am so sorry for that. Okay, so here we can compare with between the before and after, and I can see what changes I made and what the impact was on the performance.
Sorry guys, Simon's been a little under the weather, so we're going to let him go get a drink of water. And Dr. Bandari is going to talk about the tool a little bit in the meantime.
Yeah, hello everyone. Sorry for the interruption. So yeah, like Simon mentioned, we that improvement now we showed based on what your new building or new proposed building is. So it could show you this 20% improvement. And did it get us retro 20? Right? No.
No.
So yeah. So yeah, it says you do not meet the requirement to retrieve retro 30. So you could go back and see if you want to improve something else, if you have that bandwidth to improve here. Some of the things also here you may put some more in terms of air tightness. Instead of 1, you could do maybe 1.5. I don't know what those numbers. And then come back and see how good you did. Yeah, it's almost went there, but not yet, 26. So this tool can also help you a little bit play with that, how your improvement can be done. And from 1.5, let's say we went to 1.2, it should be able to bring us to that level, exactly 30%. So yeah, here you go. So you can, based on this kind of improvement, and you can achieve your Retro 30 certification here. Is there anything you needed?
Okay.
I've made nice.
So this tool, the idea is just then for be able to check, or for the user to check whether they meet the criterion or criteria for the retrofit buildings or for the new constructions, and easily be able to look at, okay, what if I did this? What if I improved my R value? What if I changed the surface material? What if I improved the air tightness? What if I replaced the windows? Anything here, and quickly be able to see what the change would be in performance. We do have an estimated EUI here presented as well. Please don't look too much at the real value here, because we are still making changes to the tool, and the coding. We're not really done with that part of the tool yet. So don't read too much into the actual value for the estimated EUI. However, these will be running the way we want them in a few days from now. So everything should be close to ready, but we are still making changes to the tool, even though it's we're not fully there yet. We do have some extra features here that will be available as well, where you can look at the monthly energy savings, and they will be separated by cooling and heating. We will also have a really cool feature here that will be available shortly, where you can look into one of these 4 categories and see what is sort of the relation to if you improve the R value versus what your savings would be. So it will really nicely show you the relation between an increase, sort of a graph or chart showing you how much, if I increase this much, then I can expect this much improvement. So give you a really nice overview of potential areas where you should focus on. I think that's it on the tool, and Haley will tell you all about how you can get access to this tool and start looking at this, if you have any buildings or if you have anything that you can try out and see if you could potentially be eligible for an award here with an existing or recently finished project. But I'm going to hand over to Haley here. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Haley again. So one more thing that I wanted to talk about while we were still on the website is that also, once these are up and running, what we are planning to do is then having nice links embedded here directly to our resources. So once you get this breakdown, if you see that everything in your building is excellent except for your windows, then we would like to immediately link you to resources for improving your windows or replacing your windows. And so hopefully this will funnel you to directly the resources that you need. For now, the resources are available on after you log in, and they're broken down by an FAQ about the entire campaign process, which is also linked to in our footer. We have in-house webinars. This will get added to that list very shortly. We have a list of other calculators that have been published by industry or other national labs that may focus, more specifically on wall assemblies, on windows, to again just help you get a little bit more information on how you want either your new building or retrofit to go. We have a general resources category right now that we are populating, and then we also have are compiling a list of case studies with tags that hopefully soon will be sortable. And so you will be able to come right here and read case studies about your windows or about roof, whatever changes you might be making to your building as you play with the tool and get an idea of how realistic some of those changes are, because it's fun to play with the tool, but you have to then implement it in your building. So. Okay, and so now we are off of the website, and I did want to take a moment to we've been talking about the sort of the nuts and bolts of the campaign, but I want to take a step back and talk about the larger campaign process. So the first thing that will happen is you will register with us, and you will let us know that you are interested in being a member of the campaign. At that time, we will send you login information so that you can actually log in and start developing that BEP metric for your particular building or buildings. You will use this tool to determine what those values are, and we will provide technical support to you as needed. So again, there will be lots of resources published on the website, but if you just really need some additional feedback or you don't understand a value that the tool is giving you, we will be here for all of that technical support. And when you have you developed the metric for your building, you've planned your retrofit, or you have this completed new construction building and you've made all these great improvements over code, you're going to send those results to us for validation. And at that point, we will review those results and probably in most cases request some verification documentation. So that may just be additional information from your commissioning agent or a cut sheet for your window, information like this. Shouldn't be anything majorly complicated, just to confirm the values that you've entered into the metric. And so after you provide that to us, we'll look over it. We will confirm your award level, whether it's retro 30 or 50, novel 20 or 40. You will at that point be officially recognized by DOE for your contribution to the campaign. And then hopefully we will get to meet you in person and present an award to you at an industry conference next year. So at this point, now that you've heard all about our great campaign, we are going to put up 2 more polls and get an idea for how many of you would be interested in participating in the campaign. And then after that, if you are interested, what size building, what square footage might be participating as well. So I'll give you a few seconds to answer each of these back to back. Okay, we have a lot of yeses. That's what I like to see. So it says about 30% of you would be interested and plan on participating in the campaign. About 12% of you say no, it's okay, we hope to change your mind before June. And then we have a large group of you who logged into the call today who are not building owners and managers. We totally understand, and if you could just help us spread the word to building owners and managers that everything you saw today was great and that they should definitely participate in our campaign, we would appreciate that. So I mentioned this at the beginning, but I wanted to go ahead and remind you guys that our formal launch will be at the Better Buildings Summit in Arlington, Virginia in June. We have a workshop scheduled for Wednesday morning, so that's June 10th. Go ahead and pencil us in and keep an eye out for us as you register for the summit and the schedule gets finalized to see what time block that workshop is actually in. So thank you very much. As promised, we left time at the end for questions, although I have not gotten very many. So if you guys have questions for us now and would like to start sending those in, that would be great. And yeah, if you are interested in being a beta tester or registering for the campaign as soon as it goes live in June, please reach out to Simon, to Dr. Palin, and let us know that. So I will keep an eye now for any questions to come in. The first question that we had come in was whether this was all about commercial buildings, and at the time, the only residential buildings that we plan on including are multifamily. And I see some more questions coming in. Is there a way to play with the tool without registering first?
Well, let's try to define register. If you want to, when we say register, in this case, what we say is that you're, at this point, yes, we will give you a logging information. You just need to send an email to me or Melissa Lapsa and let us know that you're interested, and we provide you with logging information. That doesn't mean that you have to participate in the campaign. It doesn't mean that you have to do anything more than potentially we will reach out back to you. If we don't hear back from you, we will reach out and ask you what you thought about the website and the tool and so forth.
Thank you, Simon. And then we are getting some more questions coming in, so I appreciate that. Keep them coming. We do have time left to answer them. And We got a more technical question, which I am going to let Simon read and see if he can figure out how to answer. But keep these coming in, and we will. I can't figure out how to make. Okay, so we have a question that came in that says, is the model a BIN, B-I-N, or 8760 calculation? Could we get an additional clarification from this person about that?
I think
Oh, nope, we figured it out.
it's 8,760. So it's, yeah, full year, hourly.
Oh, I see. And is the weather a 30-year average, and is there a way to explore the effect of local climate changes where it is getting warmer over the past 30 years and less cloudy, creating greater solar gain contributions?
So we're using the weather climates that have been decided to use for design purposes. If there is an example where it's located in a climate that doesn't match well with any of the chosen climate zones and chosen climates, we will absolutely take that into account and make the assessment based on that climate instead.
Thank you. What is the timeline for project execution? So our current timeline is to, again, formally launch in June, to be accepting results from project teams. I mean, as early as June, if you have a new construction building that you've just been waiting for us to launch and want to immediately send us those results for our verification after campaign launch, then that's totally fine. We will be running this campaign for the next year. So I imagine that we will at some point set a cutoff date for when projects need to be submitted in order to be included in the campaign for the next year, but we have not set that date internally yet. And then, does a college dormitory qualify as a multifamily residential building for use in the metric?
Yes.
Okay. And I think that is all of the questions we have gotten so far. Does anyone have anything else for us?
And if you feel that you have a question that comes up later today or whenever, just send us an email. And but if there's something that pops up now, just like Kaylee said, write to us now in the message box, and we'll try to answer your question, concern.
Yeah, we left time for the end, expecting you guys to be chatty, so. Okay, well, then you guys get 15 minutes of your day back. Thank you so much for calling in. Like Simon was saying, if you have any questions that come up later, if you want to serve as a beta tester, or if you want to register for the campaign and hit the ground running with us in June, do feel free to email either Simon or Melissa. Both of these email addresses are posted on this slide currently, and keep an eye out for additional campaign communications. And I am peeking one last time to make sure that we don't have any additional questions, which it looks like one has come in, which is, do we have plans to link with product databases for windows, installations, et cetera? And at this time, we try not to support as DOE particular product databases, but we try to give as much information as possible on relevant technologies. And it looks like that was the last question that came in. Ooh, is there a cost for submitting a building to the campaign?
Not at all, and we will provide necessary support. I mean, whatever support is needed to make the full assessment. So let's say that you don't have a building that matches. I mean, you have a building that doesn't match any of the prototype buildings. We will do everything we can to make the assessment and analyze before and after what your performance would be. So that's what you get from participating in the campaign, and hopefully you also can meet one of the criteria and be eligible for one of the awards. So no cost on our end so it's free to you.
Okay, I keep saying that I think we've hit all the questions and another one gets snuck in, but I think we have actually answered all of the questions this time. So now you only get 13 minutes of your day back. So thanks very much for joining, everyone.
Thank you very much, and yeah, thanks.